Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is the 8th of August, it's Thursday, and we have the Nvidia. We start with Nvidia today that opened higher yesterday and sold out through the session. That was actually the same picture across the board yesterday in US, so that's really something interesting we're going to discuss a little bit further. But here we have, excuse me, we have Nvidia and drop lower, and actually it is trading at 98 in the aftermarket, so actually a dollar low, almost a dollar lower, and let's see what where it will open today. But that is also another bearish engulfing like candle that is really telling. See, we had one here, we had there. So the pressure is to the downside, negative sentiment. I think we'll see it pushing lower in coming days. It needs to close above the peak yesterday at 108.80 for any upside potential at all. In the Japanese market, the Nikkei, here's the Nikkei future, that leg down here has retraced 61.8 just below 36,000, and now it seems to be weak again. And if we are into Elliott wave, then 1, 2, 3, 4 correction, and maybe next phase, fifth wave down could be seen here in coming days, or maybe into next week. It's hard to say about that. If it takes out the peak from yesterday and moves above 36,000, well, then there's room up to around 37,300, maybe a little bit more, and maybe then it is a bigger correction than expected. But let's see, that is at least the possibility it could play out that way. S&P 500 looks almost similar to Nvidia, of course, also sold off, closed just above 5,191 support. If it takes out that, well, and then we are actually below there in pre-market, 5,185, around that level we are trading at the moment, so we are below, and we could see another selling lower. Nasdaq 100. Same picture really. A key support 17,808, where we have been closing above a couple of times now. I think we will push lower here in the coming days. In the European markets, we have EUROSTOXX 50 that also opened a little bit, well, not higher, but open a little bit lower, and it's been sold off. We are down 1% currently, and it couldn't even bounce about 0.5% there. And I think we will also push lower in the coming days. DAX closed just below 17,620 key resistance. You can see there was support now to the resistance, and I think we'll see it to the weaker side. It needs to close back above for upside potential to 18,000, but the pressure is to the downside. If it takes out and moves back below the 200 moving average and closes below 17,325, well, then expect more selling pressure. Amsterdam index actually did close back up, closed its gap here, but it needs to get back above 892. And is likely to be a struggle, to be honest. So that will be a little bit on the heavy side also. If it moves back below 850, well, then we have more selling pressure resuming. The CAC 40 just below 7,300 and now lower this morning. We are in a downtrend, despite seeing a little bit of divergence there. I think, yes, we have a little bit of divergence. It is under pressure, and if we just look quickly at the weekly, you can see it really looks quite heavy. Also on the weekly, with potential down to around 6,800. But I think if it drops below 7,000, but then we are looking at 6,800, 6,750. Swiss market just below 11,875. Now we are back below here, 11,770, and we could see another pressure selling. If we move back below 11,595, well, then expect lower levels in coming days and weeks. Euro dollar seems to be trying another time. Maybe we'll try to push above 109.80, where it spiked above the other day but failed to close above. It just looked at the 110 and then it got hammered back down. So I think short term may be a little bit caught here, but I think there's some macro numbers out coming later today or tomorrow that really could move the market either direction. If it takes out a 108. 108.90. Expect a push down to around 108 and a quarter, possibly down here, where we have some support in the 200 moving average, the 55 and the 100 coming up, giving some support there. We're still in a positive sentiment on the RSI, so we should see further upside potential. Euro sterling 86.10 once again. Spiked above to 86.20. That needs to be adjusted a little bit. There we are, just spiked higher. Got beaten down. I still think we will see a bit of a correction lower to around 85.60, 85.50, maybe even testing this minor support here before next move higher. Cable, sterling dollar. Dancing around the 127, it dipped below, but it found support here at the 100 moving average, and that's going to be interesting. Is it actually forming a bottom and reversal pattern? Here we had this doji with a big wicks or big shadows, but opened and closed the same price yesterday. If we get a bullish market today, and especially if it closes back above 127.77, well, then we could see a further bounce higher. We're still above the cloud, but we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI, as you can see here. There is potential down to 126 level. Dollar yen. The bounce seems to be running out of steam. If it can't get up to 149.20, 149.20 and a quarter, which is 38.2 retracement here. If it can't get up to test that, well, then we could see it sliding lower. I still believe it will slide lower eventually, but there should be room up to around this level before next leg at a lower. There's no divergence on the RSI. We're still in negative sentiment, so the pressure is to the downside towards 140 and a quarter. That is a little bit stronger support. But let's see here the coming days. Keep an eye on that. It's still very volatile. Expect a lot of volatility. Also, especially if they're selling off the US techs once again. Here we have the euro yen that actually formed kind of a bottom reversal. I mean, not really a textbook one, but it should also have potential up to 162.45 resistance and the 38.2 retracement before another selling. So let's see here the next couple of days. I still believe it could be. It is not unlikely, however, that it also spike up to 164, but I'm not quite sure. Still heavy, still in a bearish trend. Same picture on Aussie yen that reached the 97 and then it got beaten back down. So there's some really strong resistance around these levels, 95, 97 and a half, where we also have the 38.2 retracement and 97.80 in this area here. So we could also be sent back down there. If it does close above or actually move back above, it could be a potential up to 99.90. Sterling yen actually also quite heavy, as you can see. Got rejected already 187.85. Still should have potential up to 190.80 level here, where we have some strong resistance. We have the 200 moving average also kind of giving a little bit of a resistance. It didn't give much support here, though. It has to be noted. So we are in a bearish trend, and we are likely to move lower in the future. Aussie dollar, a very strong bounce. You can see this spiked out there. That was very heavy, very forceful. Has retraced almost, actually retraced 50%. If it can take out the peak from yesterday, well, then there's potential up to 61.8 retracement at 66 and a quarter, and then I think it's it, and then we'll see it slide lower again. Dollar Canada, that is in a massive correction here after spiking to 139.50. We are currently at 61.8 retracement, 137 and a quarter. There is risk down to the 786 retracement at 136.65. Not quite sure we get there. We're still in a positive sentiment, so I think we will start slowly finding a base around here and start moving around. And if it moves back above 137.85, I would call that's a kind of a pivot point. If it moves back above, well, then the uptrend will likely resume. Euro Swiss. Very strong bounce above the 38.2, not all the way up to the 50%. There's still potential to do it, but the selling pressure this morning could make it to slide lower in the coming days. If it takes out the peak from yesterday at 94.70, well, then we could see a push towards the 61.8 retracement at 95.55. Dollar Swiss, there we are. Dollar Swiss. Key question, can it actually break above the falling trend line here on the RSI or not? If it can, well, then maybe we could see a further bounce higher than the 38.2. It already has bounced with just a few pips from it. Then there's potential up to the 61.8 retracement at just above 88. But some strong resistance here around 87.30 should be observed, where it can actually be rejected. Finally, on the dollar index, we have... Where is it coming? There we are. Couldn't really correct 50%. Can still, if it takes out yesterday's peak, well, then expect to move up to around 103.57, the 61.8 retracement. Otherwise, if it starts sliding lower here towards 102.5, I think we will see another push lower. And just let's have a look at the weekly chart. Let's remove this one. We are about to we are in a downtrend, lower lows and lower highs. It has taken out this little support there. There is potential down to around 100 if it takes out these levels here we saw on the daily chart. And moving on to commodity. With gold, that seems to be range bound. I mean, 23.53. 24.34 is key levels to watch. If we move back above here, I think we will see a push higher, and eventually I actually do believe we'll see higher gold prices. But if it drops below 23.53 and below the 100 moving averages, that also gives some support. And you can see also the 55 does, and the cloud also gives some support. So really some strong supports here, and there is positive sentiment. We should see gold moving higher, but again, it's not a crystal ball. It's about probabilities, so it really needs to stay above this level there. Silver seems to be bouncing a little bit. If it can form a bullish engulfing, meaning it needs to close above 26.97, then we could see a bounce in silver, and then didn't get all the way down to the 26 level, where we have some fairly strong support, also supported by the the 200 moving average. The RSI, let's see if there's any divergence here on this and this. There is not, indicating we could see a test of the $26 level. Platinum, let's have a look at platinum. We didn't do it yesterday. 902, around 900. You see dip below here back in April. So around these levels, we have strong support on platinum, and it seems like it's ticking higher at the moment. But it is in a downtrend, lower low, lower high, lower low. What will it take? If it takes out this support here, well, then we are looking at lower levels again. Copper, still a little bit under pressure. We are below this support. We are below the consolidation area. There is a risk down to the 383 support area. Despite we have some divergence here on the RSI, we can see that we are in exhaustive mode on copper, and I think it could be a final exhaustive mode lower, and then we will have a fairly strong bounce, at least on the short term. WTI has bounced off support here at 72.40, could bounce further up to around 77.5. Brent crude oil also bounced off its 76 support. It peaked a couple of times below. Could move up to around $80, but we are in a downtrend. The US 10-year yields, very strong bounce up to the 50%. Didn't get all the way up to 4%. There's still a chance to do it, but I'm not quite sure it will do it. You see it's sliding lower now, and also RSI sliding lower. Can't really get up to 40. Probably tested it yesterday, but got rejected, and then I think we'll see it sliding lower. However, if it takes out yesterday's peak at 397, I expect to move up to just above 4%, maybe 4.05, which is 61.8 retracement. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.